back to another episode of StarCraft Inc. It's been a while. This is a PvZ on Shakuras Plateau between Lizzie, the Blue Protoss, and Fnatic RC-DPT. That's too much to say. I don't like it. Just gonna call him Fnatic. And just so you guys know, there's no drones in the production tab. Just throwing that out there. And I don't know how to feel about that. But I guess we're going to see a really early pool. A really stupid early pool, and we were on faster there for a sec, or fast, or normal, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. It's me make a mistake? Like, no, I don't make mistakes. It's okay. Zerg player going to drop that pool. There we go. That was a 6 pool, bringing him down to 5 supply. And that's going to be some really scary early pressure from Lizzie, or against Lizzie. But Lizzie actually going to scout the right location first, I think. And I'm really interested to see how the Protoss player reacts to this when he scouts the pool. A lot of people say the proper response to deal with that 6 pool is to drop a pylon back in the middle of your line and try to defend it in time to get a cannon up. And a lot of players say that there's no use in trying to finish this wall off in time to defend the Lings. So we'll see. That pool finishes and Lizzie sees that completion. He knows he's going to need every probe he has to defend this. Those Lings are in production. 6 Lings on their way, and the probe poking back to see just to make sure that's exactly what is being constructed. And yes, he does see those Lings come out, so he knows shit is going down, and that's a lot of Lings on their way. And it looks like he will go and try to seal off that wall, which is interesting because, yeah, I guess he's going to have the time. This is a pretty long map, kind of a silly thing for a Zerg to try, and I don't think the Zerg player is getting in here. The forge is done, and a cannon will commence. We've got 6 Lings. I think 6 Lings, though, can DPS down a building pretty quick, and I don't feel like that cannon's going to be ready in time. And the Ling's trying to get this nice surround on the building to do the utmost damage as fast as he can. And it looks like that cannon will complete. So where does this leave the Zerg player? I feel like Fnatic is way behind now. It looks like that gateway will go down. The probe's pushing himself into that space. But he's not. Oh, drops the gateway in just in time. I thought he was going to let a few Lings in, canceling those buildings, which is a good decision. Gonna use that money to expand, I suppose. I don't know what his plan is. So saving up minerals, I don't know. He's actually gonna get a zealot. It's changing his mind, and the Lings do scout that there was a cancel there, and that there's no wall off anymore. But that single zealot coming out could make all the difference in defending this if he tries anything. So I don't know. I feel like, though, an expansion would have been a better decision than that single zealot. I kind of feel a roach rush coming in here. I feel like there's going to be a tech switch into roaches. Lizzie going out a little too far with that zealot, I think, and going to pull back out just in time. And the Lings won't be able to get us around and take him out. He needs to go back to the cannons. He can't do anything out there all alone. And he's going to get surrounded. That single zealot going to get picked off. Good micro from the Zerg player. Korean Pro micro right there. Gets a zealot for free. And those Lings will regenerate health, actually. And get right back to full HP. So are we going to see a Roach Warren drop down here? And if we do, you know, a really heavy switch into just mass Roach, this probe is going to scout that there's no expansion here. And that's a big deal. So I really want to know what's coming. We're going to see Lings. Maybe it's going to be a Baneling bust. I would not be surprised. Seeing that there is no expansion here is a big deal. He needs a Cyber Core for the sentries, because really sentries are the only thing he can use to hold off any kind of Roach all-in or even Ling Baneling. So I was just taking a drink. Forgive me, Bambi. Forgive me. A bunch of Lings coming over here again. They're probably just going to sit at the bottom. They're going to do some spotting against the Protoss player. And this is just ridiculous. I don't know. This is the weirdest freaking game I've ever seen. And I would, you know, if it wasn't for the Ling micro that we saw, really simple Ling micro, but something you don't see in low leagues, I would have thought this was like a low-level play. low-level game. This is actually 2 Korean pros. Once again, as far as I'm aware, I don't really know, but we are going to see, I don't know, we're going to see this game go into the late game, I think, which is crazy. I don't know, why is this Zerg player not expanding? Like, he's finally expanding now, but I don't even know how to cast this game. This is one of the weirdest games I've ever looked at in a long time. I mean, Lizzie just didn't get his cyber core until like 6 minutes, and we are seeing double gas, so we're gonna see some tech coming out of the Protoss player now, and he is getting the second base saturated. We are gonna see more sentry, just more and more sentry. Ling's pushing up the ramp to see what's there. I think checking to see how many cannons are in existence. Seeing that there's only one. But we are going to see the layer tech now from Fnatic RC DPT. And no roaches yet. Not even a roach warren. So, man, I'm so confused. I feel like if Lizzie went into a really heavy Sentry Immortal build with some good upgrades, he could do a lot of damage. Just because there's no third base there's no third hatchery from the Zerg player, so he just could not keep up in production, in roaches, I mean, to defend a good Sentry Immortal push, with upgrades, of course. So we do see an Evolution Chamber, and I'm curious if that's going to be for ground grades, or if it's just going to be for a couple Spore Crawlers, just for detection sake, but we're going to see an Infestation Pit, and oh man, are we going to see Infestors, or are we going to see like a really rush Hive Tech? We're going to see Burrow, so probably going for those Infestors. Man, I don't even know what to tell you. We are going to see, this is still Weapons 1, right? Yeah, just Weapons 1. And a lot of gateways here coming in. Actually, those are the first gateways he's built since the one in his wall. Actually going to kill a Changeling here. And this looks like it might be an older replay, because that Overseer looks kind of slow for an Overseer. In terms of, like, we just saw the Overlord buff, right? And I'm not really sure how that affects Overseer's speed, to be honest. But, no, I just feel like that's not as speedy as it could be. Who knows? Anyway, we are going to see that +1 weapons finish up right about now. And if you take a look at the Zerg upgrades, we are seeing Pathogen Glands, which does tell us that Infestors are on the way. And we are going to see a couple Spine Crawlers just for support as he takes his third, which is a good decision as there are a lot of Sentry on the field. Are we going to see... Oh, we're going to see Warp Prism. But this Overseer here is going to see the Warp Prism come out of the Robo Bay if it comes back here. Does it come back in time? I think it spots the Warp Prism. And how is the Zerg player going to react to that? If that Warp Prism loads anything into it and gets caught by Fungal Growth, it's going to be an expensive Warp Prism to lose. Checking here at the third to make sure nothing is there blocking it, and probably looking to take an expansion shortly. And just trolling around the map with your ground army is never a bad idea, as long as you don't go out too far, especially with Infestors on the field, because you will not be able to run away. And we see 4 Infestors. And nothing else really, just Lings, a couple Lings, not even very many. And looks like a huge drone pop here coming to the third base. Take a look at the income tab. We are seeing 62 to 60, which is a comfortable place for the Protoss for sure. And a Spire on the way. So are we going to see Broodlord Infestor? Is that all he's going to have? I think he's feeling pretty safe, pretty ballsy. Protoss player not even doing anything to stop the creep spread. This is just a really strange game here. Not very aggressive play from the Protoss, and not very aggressive play from the Zerg. The Zerg, I mean, not even an aggressive expander. I think really worrying about a counterattack, and because of that 6 pool, the economic style that the Zerg is used to wasn't there. So a really late third, just now taking his 4th at the 13 minutes, and I don't know, this Overseer is still here, which would be capable of kamikazing in to see what's coming out of this Robo. It wouldn't even have to lose its life to see that. And Thermalance is on its way, so we do see those Colossus coming out now. They won't have Thermalance for the first little while. And more gateways coming in. Man, the timings in this match are just so screwed up because you know, right now would be the point in a regular matchup where the Zerg would be going into hyper production mode. They'd be able to like spit out way more than the Protoss could just from production sense. And then this is like the small window where the Protoss would have to be extremely cost effective with all his units. Otherwise he would just get overwhelmed by the Zerg. And then you go into the late game mode, and that's where the Protoss can spit out quite a bit of crap too, and it becomes pretty even in terms of production. So to see the Protoss player not harass those mineral lines and not put any pressure on the creep spread to recede that, it's just kind of a strange game. And we do have an observer floating around, and it will spot the Muta, and right away you see the army come back reacting to that, although maybe deciding not to. Really, this is strange. He saw the Muta. What is he thinking? He does have one cannon here. Gonna run the line and watches those Muta just kind of mutilate, I suppose. And a Colossus caught for free by the Muta. Oh, the pathing on Colossus is so frustrating. And just losing his Colossus like that is not going to be a good way to move into the late game. A bunch of infestors running up, this is going to be amazing. He's going to bait the stalkers to the edge. They are going to get fungled by the infestors, but the pylon scouts the infestors. I mean, oh dear. Infested Terran coming in here, and this is going to be an interesting situation. Beautiful play by the Zerg. I really enjoy this. I thought it was going to be a fungal growth thing. Using Blink Micro to the best of his ability to try and deal with this. You never want to fight energy units with money units, but that seemed to go really well for Lizzie. He does have Blink, as you saw, and that is going to really carry him into the late game and help him get his Colossus count up to where he needs it. And this defensive style, very good by Lizzie. I'm glad he is going for that defensive style for his sake. And from the Zerg player, just needs to keep his Muta alive. I think that'll be the biggest thing. Keep the pressure on, keep his Muta alive, and Blink Stalker's getting in under those Mutalisks, and that is not a good thing. If he loses those, he loses his ability to keep the Protoss from pushing. And he needs that advantage. He needs the ability to just saturate these bases and keep them safe and just drone freely and then bank up on Larva and just spit out the hard counter to what's on the field. So we are going to see, oh man, Ling Infestor just trying to deny these forward pylons. A couple of Infested Terran just softening up the Stalkers a little bit, but nothing threatening. I don't particularly agree with the use of energy there. I think a fungal growth would have been better. And fungal growth really will be the hard counter here to the Blink Stalkers. But if he needs more than that when it comes to the Colossus. So it looks like he's getting those Corruptors. We do have a lot of Mutalisks on the field, and maybe a switch into Broodlords, as we do see a greater Spire here. So will that be used for Broodlords, or will it be used for upgrades on the Corruptor Muta? So we'll see if he's willing to invest in those Broodlords. Without a good ground army underneath Broodlords are pretty ineffective because Blink Stalkers can get underneath them pretty quick. But that is what we are seeing. We're seeing Broodlords. So I'd like to see the Zerg player get a bigger army underneath those Broodlords. Of course, until he can get a really large number of Broodlords, and then it's okay. That's all fine and dandy. Taking another drink. Taking another drink as Mutalisks die to Stalkers. Oh my god, my drink timing was awful. We do have High Templar here, which I like. Good play by the Protoss. The Storms can ward Muta pretty nicely, and once those Storms exhaust, you morph it into an Archon, and it buys you time. Those Mutalisks will sit there and they'll shoot at the Archon while it's morphing, and it gives you time to get your probes out of the mineral line, and it gives you, if that Archon finishes, it's some nice splash damage to use to deal with the Mutalisks. So now we are seeing the Protoss player push into the creep, push into the Broodlords, fungal growth, going down, locking those Stalkers in place, and not allowing him to get in on those Broodlords. The Protoss player deciding to back up, does not want to engage that many Broodlords, especially with fungal growth on the field. That Infestor right there, not feeling too good. Cough syrup is not going to fix his issues. And Lizzie gonna get his 4th here. Yeah, that is just the 4th now. And yeah, gonna get a 4th. Gonna try to saturate that. There are no probes in production, so just a transfer. A couple of lings go down to this big death ball. And look at all these. That's kind of funny to me. That was a lot of changelings. And no more in the army. It looks like a bunch of broodlords get in here. The blink stalkers get underneath. And running his broodlings away. That's strange. I don't know why. But anyway, going to soften those stalkers up pretty good. But the Colossus' splash damage is keeping the broodlings back from doing too much damage. And really, just buying time, the Zerg player slowly accumulating a massive Broodlord army and banking hard. Protoss player 2 also sitting on a bank, really working on those upgrades. His Gateway army is now 3-1. I would like to see him a little farther than that. We're seeing 1-1 from the air upgrades there, and I wish I could find some ground units. We're seeing 1 armor on the infestors. I'm not sure what the weapons upgrades are at right now. Looks like no melee weapons, and oh my god, all the broodlings. So many broodlings, and this Protoss army caught in a really bad choke. Lots of fungal growth going down on that small cluster of units. The Protoss army unable to do any damage to the forward Zerg army. Storm going down in a beautiful place, doing a lot of damage, but we are seeing transfuse from a queen somewhere. I don't see the queen itself. Oh, there he is. So excellent engagement for the Zerg player. That did not go well for Lizzie. And the Zerg player just playing this beautifully, biding his time. And, you know, he's made himself a scary army, turning excess drones into spine crawlers. It's just a fishnet that the Protoss player cannot get through without softening his army up too much. He needs observer spread so that he can spot the infestors and use feedback with his High Templar. I feel like if Lizzie loses this base, that would be a, like, just, he's not going to go well if he loses that base. That pretty much spells the end of the game for Lizzie if that base goes down. And he is going to tug the Broodlords back away from that Nexus, but so many infestors preventing him from closing in on the Broodlords. And here we go. Oh my god, the Zealots are going to be weird. They're just kind of blocking the Stalkers, but lots of Storm going down on those Broodlords. So, oh my god, I don't even know what to say. This whole thing with the Zealots is just strange to me. I've never seen that before, the Changelings, but that was awesome. I like that. It really stopped movement from the Protoss player. It got in his Gateway unit's way. They couldn't get underneath the Broodlords due to the Broodlings and the Infestors and the Changelings, and that was a bad engagement for the Zerg player, going to lose quite a few Broodlords. But if you look at the bank that the Zerg player is sitting on, it doesn't even matter. Remax right away, 2 more Broodlords on the way, 3 more Corruptors on the way. We're going to see a huge switch into Ultralisks, I think, as we do see Carapace level 3 on the way. We're seeing melee attack level 3, and man, air weapons level 3. This is just going completely in the Zerg's favor. We're seeing 3-1-1 for the Protoss. 2 more Colossus on the way. Gravatic Drive, that's the Warp Prism speed if I'm not mistaken, and Protoss Shields level 2. So, going into the late game, I feel like the Zerg is definitely favored. He's on more bases, and actually, yeah, he's only on 1 more base, so the Protoss actually is taking this now. We're going to see a small engagement here. Broodlord's picking off a cannon pretty much for free. And the Protoss player is going to be he needs 1 good engagement that's extremely cost effective. Archons are really going to help him deal with the Broodlings, and good feedbacks on those Infestors, really minimizing the amount of damage taken to his Stalkers. A good Vortex, a Mothership. I didn't even know a Mothership was on the field. Vortex catching a lot of Broodlords, which is a big deal. The Stalker's going to be able to get forward and do some damage, and when those Broodlords come out of the Vortex, they will be free picking for the Stalkers. But these spine crawlers preventing the Stalkers from getting close. A good Storm goes down on those Broodlords. Stalkers getting forward on the Broodlords again, but Queen's actually transfusing them, preventing the Protoss player from doing enough damage. If that Mothership gets, oh my god, mind controlled, I would not be feeling good for the Protoss player. But actually an overextension of the Broodlords from the Zerg player. Transfuse keeping them alive still. Stalkers having so much trouble getting close, especially with more Changelings. And I think there's detection here for the Protoss player. I don't know for sure. But actually pushing forward and breaking through the spine crawlers. This is quite the comeback, and I feel it's thanks to the mothership, which a couple weeks ago, a couple months ago, that mothership was viewed as underpowered, but man, oh my god, I can't believe that people thought the mothership was useless, because we see incredible things from it all the time, and it had to take nerfs. Oh my god, the mothership is an awesome unit. You guys can knock it all you want, but we just saw a pretty sweet comeback from the Protoss player, all thanks to a mothership, and a little bit of poor micro from Fnatic RCDPT. Or CDPT. Yeah, we know. I don't know. Anyway, so a little bit of a mismovement of his Broodlords. I think he overextended with those Broodlords, and that allowed him to get caught out of position. And I think the Protoss player sneaking in a little bit closer than the Zerg would have liked. A little bit of a late fungal growth, but storms going down on those Broodlords. Everything running through that storm. So many Corruptors there, ready to both kill Colossus, kill the motherships, and be morphed into Broodlords as others die. We're seeing 8 Broodlords on the way, and that is just an excellent thing for the Zerg player, and a terrible thing for the Protoss player. Oh, a huge Zealot drop here from a Warp Prism, actually going to take out a lot of drones, but in a base that's almost mined out, so I don't know how useful that is. And Mutalisks actually will be able to come over here and clean that up without having to lose any units to the Zealots. So good play by the Zerg, and having those Mutalisks handy, quite effective actually. Just a nice mobile drop defense and can kill Zealots for free. We're going to see a High Templar lowered onto the high ground here and storming some drones, which will force hatcheries to spend larvae on drones instead of military units, allowing the Protoss player to catch up just a little bit in army size. And we see just a huge doom push from Broodlords here, but not many infestors. 5 infestors, but that's all it takes to send a nice wave of fungal growth into the Stalkers to prevent them from getting close to the Broodlords, really causing them to just die instantly. If they can't get under the Broodlords, if they can't cause massive amounts of damage to the Broodlords quickly, the Protoss player loses a lot of Stalkers really fast. Look at how many Broodlords there are. Oh my goodness, all the infested Terran. This base is going down. And oh my goodness, huge pickup for the Zerg player. And that is a big deal. I feel like maybe the drop harass from the Protoss player was a little uncalled for, because, you know, using those warp-ins on Zealots. Oh, there is detection here. Forward DTs here, man. I don't know how this is going to go for the Protoss player. I'm sure there's Overseers right here. So DTs are pretty useless, and more of these changelings just pushing into the army. Archons getting rid of those right away and actually losing a bunch of Overseers for nothing. Oh my god, just an instant kill on the Stalkers there from those Broodlords. So many Broodlords, it's unreal. But yeah, using the warp-ins for Zealots gives him a lot less Stalkers on the field. And I think he just needs to be maxed on Stalkers all the time, or he will not be able to deal with these Broodlords. So hard to be cost effective against the Broodlords, as they just infinitely spawn those Broodlings that soak up all the damage and do a lot of damage back. So I don't know how the Protoss player can pull himself out of these. It would take an excellent Vortex and just a horrible miscontrol from the Zerg player, I think. This is the Zerg player's game to lose. And I just don't know. I don't know what's going on here. So the Protoss player actually going to manage to take an expansion over here, but is going to have a hard time defending it, as it's in a weird spot with a lot of dead space around it. And this is the Protoss player's chance to get in on top of those spine crawlers while the Broodlords leave them undefended. And now the Broodlords actually coming in to join the defense. But Storm going down under the Broodlords, softening them up quite a bit. I don't see Queens for Transfuse. So if the Stalkers can get under those Broodlords, very clever, very good micro. Oh, there's the, oh my god, the Vortex. The Archons will get in there. Stalkers will get in there. And actually, look at the Zerg throwing infested Terran into the Vortex. I don't know what happens when eggs hatch in a Vortex, but all those Broodlords go down to the Archon Stalkers. 3 Broodlords remain. And a bunch of Broodlords go down here. The Protoss player, oh my god, pulling a beautiful Vortex out of his ass. And then, I don't even know what to say. That's what I guess that's what I was saying, is that's what the Protoss needed. He needed the Zerg to fall into just a wicked Vortex. And now we're seeing the Protoss in pretty good shape, but the Zerg still sitting on a massive bank. Will be able to replenish his army. I don't think this is over, and as the Zerg player did eliminate this base, it now just going back up. I feel like this game is kind of even again. There's a big army here for the Protoss, but his bank is not nearly as big, and I feel like the Zerg player needs to not throw any units at this army right now. He needs to let this base go. He needs to accrue another army that is difficult to deal with. But here he goes. He's actually going to soften up this army quite a bit. The Broodlords are allowing him to do a lot of damage from a safe distance on this high ground and actually force the Protoss player back. So I'm very impressed that he was able to defend this base with minimal casualties. This is a scary Protoss army to be up against, this Archon Blinkstalker Colossus. And does have Observer support, so we'll be able to see Infestors ahead of the time. And just with the Corruptors, with the Broodlords, with the Infestors, it's such a difficult, what's the word? Oh dear. Unit composition. Composition was the word I was looking for. Such a difficult composition to deal with. So many spine crawlers here will be a threat to the Stalkers. As soon as the Stalkers get close to that, it's a scary thing for the Protoss. But he will use his Colossus to deal with that. We will see, I think, Corruptors come in to deal with those Colossus, or maybe not. Just going to let those spines go down, I suppose. But we do have Broodlords here now engaging, almost loses an Infestor for free. This is where the Fungals need to happen, but they're not. Why is he not Fungling? He has vision. He needs to Fungal growth those Stalkers, and he doesn't. I don't even know, man. So a lot of spines go down, and here's the Broodlord army just going to obliterate those Stalkers. And Colossus quickly dealing damage to those Broodlings, trying to keep them from just melting the army. And with that splash damage in the composition, it's hard for the Broodlords to do their damage, because as soon as those Broodlings hit the ground, they die. So these armies just kind of counter each other. The Protoss player can't push in, but the Zerg player can't do any damage. And he needs to be so careful. If he loses the Broodlords again, I don't know if he'll have the gas to pull himself out of a bad loss like that. So actually both players, look at this, look at the drones and the probes. I'm going to beat you. That's kind of funny. So yeah, no. Both players trying to take this base. Broodlords are going to make sure that this is Zerg territory. A good cancel by the Protoss. And a bunch of, look at all this. Look at the changelings. And the Protoss player's not going to do anything about it. Gonna walk over here. Gonna make sure that these Muta don't, no. Actually, just gonna kill the changelings. Such a curious thing. I don't know why the Zerg player keeps doing that. Very strange. So funny. So yeah. I was just taking a drink. You guys understand, right? We get a little bit of a downtime, a little bit of a stalemate here as both players try to, just re-bolster their armies, but we have a huge engagement here that looks like it is slowly favoring the Zerg player, backing his Broodlords away, afraid of that mothership. Look at all the Corruptors here trying to get Colossus for free, but it looks like the mothership will go down to the Corruptors. The mothership goes down, which means no more Vortex, which means these Broodlords are scary. There is a Vortex right here, but I don't think anything is inside it. No, there was nothing in there. Kind of a missed Vortex, which is very strange to me. Not sure how you miss a Vortex. I don't. Anyway, Broodlords will be able to take this base apart, and I think that will be the nail in the coffin. Although the Protoss is on 2 mining bases and the Zerg on 2 mining bases, so I don't know. Protoss only on, yeah. So this base and this base are the only mining locations left for the Protoss. A big storm going down on those Broodlords. Colossus and Stalkers doing what they can. Blink getting underneath those Broodlords, but Transfuse healing those Broodlords. Storm softening them up so much It looks like all the Stalkers about to go down to the Broodlings. And this is, I think, the end. Look at the mineral count for the Zerg player. All these Broodlords being replenished. 9 more Broodlords on the way. 2 Infestors on the way. 5 Corruptors on the way. And for the Protoss, only 2 Stalkers and a Mothership. Not looking good. Going to lose one of his last Nexus. This base trying to become operational. This is the last mining base for the Protoss player. This and this are the last mining base for the Zerg player. And Zerg is in control with a massive army trying to do what little damage he can, but gets bungled and surrounded, and this is ridiculous. Look at the Broodlings. Oh my goodness. Zerg player looks like he's taking this game just from a 6 pool to freaking a full page of Broodlords. I don't even... Okay. Another Mothership joining the fray. 4 Corruptors coming out, but a GG from Lizzie ends this game. Guys, would you be happy if I told you this is a best of 3? Oh, how could you be sad with that? Guys, this is a best of 3. And I'll be casting the next game ASAP. Not right now, so you might have to wait a day or 2. But that's alright, right? Cool beans. I'll see you guys next time. I'm SSN Incarnate, and I hope you